Welcome to the release of Cancer in Victoria, a snapshot of cancer mortality and incidence in 2011. This report continues the trend of Victorian Cancer Registry being amongst the most timely in the world in releasing key cancer data for our state. It helps us to understand the patterns of cancer and be able to prepare on how we can most adequately respond to the needs of our community into the future. In recent years, of course, we have seen improvements in cancer survival. This will be important because we know over the next 2 decades we will see an increasing number of people diagnosed with cancer, primarily due to our ageing and our growing population. I'd like to thank very much the staff of the Victorian Cancer Registry who've been fantastic in ensuring that this data was prepared as promptly as it could be and put into the hands of those who need it and rely upon this data. I'd also like to thank our funding bodies, the Victorian Government and also the Victorian Cancer Agency for their support, as well as Victoria's scientific community who have been so responsive in ensuring that this report can be prepared as quickly as possible. I hope you enjoy reading the report and I hope it inspires you to be thinking about the ways that together we can respond most effectively to the cancer needs in our community.
Okay, thank you all for coming this morning. Today is another proud day for the Victorian Cancer Registry as we prepare to release our Cancer Incidence Mortality statistics for 2011, making second consecutive year that we have maintained our lag time between diagnosis and publication. It is just a little bit of a new look this year, but as usual we've published incidence and mortality statistics, trends for selected cancers, cancer survival. I'm not going to talk much about that this morning because we've already recently launched our cancer survival in Victoria, and it's actually the same year data. Trends in survival for all cancers, and for the first time we put projections in last year, but this year we have put in cancer projections because up to for 25 years. And I guess the other significant thing to say about this particular report is that we now hold 30 years of incident reporting, so trend analysis is very strong. So these are our leading cancer sites in Victoria. In terms of the top 5 cancers, they still represent around about 60% of the cancer burden in the state of Victoria. This is the graph that you'll see in the report. The only difference in this graph is that I have shown men and women. This is the leading cancer in persons, and the other change between last year and this year is that breast has overtaken bowel, but those two have fairly close numbers anyway. These are our leading causes of cancer death. No change to the top 4 to last year and previous years. Also, those top 4 leading causes of cancer death are in our top 5 cancers. Now, the only change this year to note is that you will see unspecified site or cancer of unknown primary, as it's often termed. This is the first time we've included this in our league table of leading causes of cancer death. In the past, there's been some debate about what that means. Is it just because registries aren't coding this condition properly? But I think it's acknowledged that cancer of unknown primary is an entity, and that's where it sits on the league table in terms of cause of death. And I also feel that from the Victorian Cancer Registry's point of view, our data are of significantly high quality that I feel confident to be able to include that in the league table. I will also tell you that there is a project that's going to be a national project that we are going to look at practices across the country on how code is classified. So obviously, common thing that you want to look at when you've got 30 years of incidence and mortality data is trends, and when you look at that graph, we don't need me to point out the big change is that fairly decline that's for 2 years now in reducing cancers in men, and there's obviously a leveling off of women. Probably no prizes to guess what's contributing to that decline in cancers in men. When we look at our prostate cancer, which is A, our leading cancer, and B, the leading cancer in men, there's been a 20% decline in prostate cancer registry since 2009. Now, I think last year what I did, I reported that there was a relationship between prostate cancer incidence and PSA testing for prostate cancer. So what I put on here, the bar graphs are in fact, it's the rate per 1,000 men that have PSA tests in Victoria. And on the red line is actually just the age-adjusted incidence rate. So the bars aren't age-adjusted, but it does give you some indication that screening plays a role in prostate cancer incidence. And I'll just let you know that Jeremy Miller, who's not here today, has agreed to work with us on doing a little bit more work, having a look at the age group and geography about screening and its impact on prostate cancer incidence. Bowel cancer incidence with the new year, you can see for men it's gone down, and for women it's been going up. This is a graph that's actually in the report, it's something that you can work out, but what I thought would be more interesting to tease out, looking at the age group influence on bowel cancer rates. So when we look at in the 50 to 59-year age group, it's actually going up in women, which means that the women in that age group are contributing to bowel cancer going up. But look what's happening to men. It's going down in that age group, also in the 60 to 69 age group for men. And of course, it's not surprising that it's going up in the 80-year-olds for men, because cancer is the biggest risk factor for cancer is aging, and that may be why it's increasing in men there. So though I can't really quite explain why it's going up in women in that younger age group. We don't really, what would be great to do is to make our medicine started to the screening data to actually really tease that out a lot more, to say, are they, finding early cancers in women, and are they finding pre-cancers in men, because that's what it looks like. But we don't really know the answer. Breast cancer looks like for the second consecutive year it has gone up. And again, we have other data on the Cancer Registry. Last year I did show some data on ER positive tumours, and I didn't, but we will be doing some more investigation to see if we can identify any reason for that trend. Lung cancer, always interesting to look at. Basically overall it's going down for men, and basically overall it's still continuing to go up for women. So although in reality there does appear to be some levelling off at the women, we have to watch this space to see if those two lines collide at some point in time. Of course, we do know that when we took up smoking later in men and what have you, so we know the influence of when people stop smoking in men and women is different, and that's is reflected in the incidence. For the second year in a row, melanoma has gone down for both men and for women. And again, I thought it would be good to look at the age group contribution to that decline. And pretty much in the younger age groups, the under 40s, for females, you can see it is going down, and it is going down slightly for men also, getting there the same. And it's the older age group, which we've always been a big contributor to melanoma incidence, has actually declined in both men and women. There's people over 60 years. So. But it is interesting to look at the age group contribution to cervical cancer. We know that with the introduction of cervical cancer screening through Pap tests, there's been a steady decline. But what you can see in more recent years is, well, it's because you see those bumps in the graphs because it's not a very common cancer. It doesn't have big numbers, but there appears to be some leveling off. You can see the contribution in the under 40, so it's actually going up in the under 40-year-old women and down in 60-plus women, and a little bit of an increase in the 40 to 59 women as well. So that kind of interesting figures. With the cancer, I always have a look at with the cancer cancer because it's a cancer that's on the increase, obviously related to the virus. And thyroid cancer is another one that's also been noted in increase in women in cancer registries and other jurisdictions. It has actually finally, maybe has peaked. But the good thing about thyroid cancer, if you look at those mortality lines, is pretty flat, declining, that would suggest that new thyroid cancer that they're detecting, particularly in women, is a result of better diagnostic tests. Last thing to talk about this morning is that I said we included projections in our cancer report, 25-year projections. Now, I'm ordinarily a visual person and like to look at graphs, but I've decided to give you some text this time to break that down. So what those projections mean, what we've done, by the way, while the bars, there's gaps, we've calculated the average annual number of new cases in 5-year periods. So what that means is that in the 2022 to 2026 periods, we projected there will be 45,000 Victorians will get a new diagnosis of cancer and 12,000 Victorians will die of cancer. This represents an increase of 60% in new cases diagnosed each year and a 20% increase in deaths. Much of the increase in these numbers is, of course, due to population growth and population ageing. Cancer death rates are expected to fall by 22%. Male incidence rates are predicted to increase by 17%. Don't forget these are projections, and if you've got a volatile cancer like prostate cancer in the mix, you've got to take these projections that far out with some caution. And female cancer incidence rates are expected to rise by about 12%. And just finishing with this slide, I haven't focused, it is in the graph, but you have actually seen this before if you came to our launch or you had the copy of our Cancer Survival in Victoria. So thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions.